know, that's like that's being able to be communicated. And dance is it's one of those arts that you're using your entire body, so it's like there's no, and sometimes your voice, so there's like nothing that you can, it's so intimate, like there's nothing you can take back. So I think that there has to be a communication, like there has to be like me saying something to you and you taking it, or you pushing it. There has to be some form of like,
well, there has to be a reaction.
There has to be a reaction.
Yeah, and whether that, and I felt like initially our goal is to get people to just have a basic understanding of what it is that we do, and then from there we can sort of have that, you know, almost like that dissonance that occurs where they're like, ooh, what in the world are they doing? But there's still an attachment because we've already sort of laid the foundation of understanding, and now they can be open to viewing new things. And that I've been lucky enough to work with a couple different camps, intensives at the center this summer, and that was a big thing that I heard back from parents. They're like, thank you for exposing my 6-year-old to improv and expressing herself now, because it's not just about, and that's the beautiful thing about the people who go there, is that they understand it's not just about dance. It is a full human being experience, and improv is, to me, it is probably, you know, it's a facilitator for understanding yourself as an artist, as a dancer, as a person, regardless of what type of improv you do. Because it requires you really kind of peeling away the layers and figuring out who you are. Because if you don't do that, then everything's going to be contrived and just like, here's my leg, you know? It's just like,
just a refabrication of fucking something else that's just
happened. Like just regurgitating everything you've ever been taught. And I mean, there is an element of that. You can't escape what you've been taught and what you've experienced, but it's about learning how to take that and adapt it and sort of make it your own.
I agree, oh my god, damn it, no.
That moment when you have a thought and it goes, that happens a lot, it's okay.
As artists, dancers, because being a dancer is a very, very, very intense thing.
It is.
To decide to put yourself through.
Yeah.
What do you see the challenges of dance now in society, and making it something that, you know, is more acceptable because of the internet, because of television, because of movies, that form of entertainment before where we were dancers and that was like the thing, you know, and now, you know, dance is something else. Where do you see dance itself, you know, going in 10 years?
Well, I think a big challenge that dance has right now is that there's a struggle between it being an art form and a commodity. Where it can be packaged and sold, and that's what, I mean, that is a reality of what you see on TV. So there's a struggle that we have as artists, because now we go back to that, what's digestible, because what's out there and what's public is not necessarily always pushing the boundaries of what we consider to be dance or what we consider to be art. It's nice and packaged very neatly in a little box, and like here's what a good dancer is. It's very like, it's back to that spoon feeding of, this is a good dancer, that's why they're on this show, or this is a good dancer, that's why they're on here. But that's not the end all, and so that's a huge challenge. And I mean, I think particularly with that idea that being packaged as a commodity, there's the idea of what a dancer body should look like, what a dancer's technique should be like, what their feet should look like. But to me, I feel that dance is a very intense experience, and if you are not strong-willed, it is going to eat you alive.
Yeah.
But there is, like, it's so much more than what the public always sees. And I hope that 10 years, especially with social networking, that we are able to really get out there and be like, hey, look, this dance is not just what you see on, you know, Fox, or just what you see when you go, you know, watch the Nutcracker or any of the, you know, 5 million Step Up movies that I have. That there are some beautiful things about that, but that is not the end all. So that's a huge challenge that we have to overcome as artists and as dancers. But hopefully in 10 years, through the use of social networking and really, I'm one of those people that I feel like there's change coming. Like I feel that people are starting to like recognize that like this package that we've been sold and this idea of life that we sort of bought into, the white picket fence and the house and the car and the student loans and the all of this that as a person who's drowning in them, that they still keep my income tax refund, but that we were sort of like sold a lie of this idea, and I feel it, at least with a lot of people that I see, that they're really starting to recognize that this was a falsity. And I'm hoping that with that, along with the idea of social networking, that dance is able to really sort of start pushing down those walls and those barriers of things that has been packaged so nice and neat, because that's not life.
We do know of dancers though who like are like getting out there, like sort of like the same vision that we see like for dance and like improv, and just like there needs to be more of us trying to do that to really like get ourselves like,
which is really exciting.
Yeah, of course.
I think that our generation is doing a fantastic job, because I think that they have like a hunger to culture themselves, which is not something that like 2 generations ago they had. Like everything was incredibly like everything that they see was, they kind of had like blinders on. But people our age, we love to know more. Like we're kind of like
Well, you can even
gobble
see
it
that
down.
with just the response
we
to
love
like
to archive things.
the Trayvon Martin case. If you look at like the response that the general public has had, it's nice to see people getting up and saying like, what the hell is going on? Like stop and look and listen and pay attention, because if you are constantly caught up in that rat race, you lose everything. And it's beautiful to see that like people actually are stopping and being like, oh, this is not life. Like there's this whole other reality that we've been ignoring and pushing to the side because we've been busy, racking up debt and racking up all these things that we were sold and told this is the end all. Yeah. So I think that is part of it, and ultimately what happens in life is reflected in art. So hopefully this idea of really like stopping and looking at things from other perspectives is going to overflow into art as well.
I think that the idea of how a dancer is defined too has changed a lot, even in the last like 5 years, or like, but especially in the last 10 years. And I can't wait to be 10 years older and have this new definition of what a dancer should look like, how they should express themselves, because it's no longer like that. Like we have such a we don't even have a range anymore. Like I don't know, you see a lot of different shape dancers, different technical dancers doing different things, which is beautiful.
It's just about getting the general public to be exposed to that. And it's hard when you're battling things where everything is nice and packaged and neat. So it's just a matter of us really utilizing technology, as bad as it can be sometimes, as a way to facilitate the expansion and understanding and growth of those new definitions of what are dancers. And that's a beautiful thing. Like I love that we got some big people in our company. Like I love that. Like
we have such a wide range.
of
Even if you
people.
see like the 4 people here, like we're just so. If you would have tried to sell us to any other dance company in the 80s, like we would have been not making it. Exactly. I would have been in one of those high leotards with I would have needed long legs, and I'm 5'4" and quite thick. So it's like, it's really nice to just not feel like I have to fit into any box. I don't feel that way.
As people who all had to wear the tights and the leotards and that, we have been like, nope. I'm like, if I have to wear a leotard, I am not happy. Don't put me in a leotard, don't put me in a unitard, and I'm not putting on tights.
Now I just decide what I really want to do, pretty much.
And I think that we're always still learning and growing and that sort of stuff, but it's like, you have to jump through those hoops in order to get to this point, because, we all, honestly, I feel like every dancer should experience a teacher who makes them cry, who forces them to wear pink tights and a black leotard, because that is, it's discipline, and that's part of this art, is that even though there's a freedom to it, there's still there still has to be some sort of thing that, because how else do you learn technique? It is, that in itself is...
It's true. And within, I don't know, I always felt like with classes, aside obviously from gaining technical, advances, like I also think, within suppression, you find like like kind of like the need to express yourself. So like within taking classes and someone telling you what to do, you're like, I need time by myself, and I need to find out what I like to do. So like it is. I think it's really important for dancers, especially like when they're starting off, to be suppressed. It sounds really horrible, but like to feel uncomfortable, to feel suppressed, to feel like they don't know what to do, because within all of that, you find what makes you feel comfortable and how you like to move, and what marries your body well and what doesn't. So that's really important.
It's like the analogy of a seed. A seed has to be shoved down into the soil and feel really uncomfortable and like claustrophobic before it can blossom into